My name is Dana James. I'm founder of Black Iowa News and soon-to-be Black Iowa newspaper, which I began Black Iowa News in May of 2020 because I noticed a gap in reporting when it came to blacks and the coronavirus pandemic. And I wanted to make sure that my community received credible journalism. And so I began researching those stories and, disseminating it via email newsletter. And that's really how it began. Definitely. So Black Iowa News provides a look at the black community. I feel like it's a conversation. A lot of times in reporting, it's a reporter coming into a community, covering it, and coming out. I'm a part of the community, and I'm a longtime Iowan, and so I think I'm bringing that perspective as a black woman and as a black Iowan, and very much centering it in my work. And so my goal with Black Iowa News is to make sure that the stories have black experts, black voices. The data is geared toward the black reader, and so everything that I do, I'm thinking about centering the voices of black Iowans in the photos and the headlines and everything. So when I'm writing, I'm definitely looking at, I'm watching all media, looking at how they cover stories, looking for the stories that don't get told. And I think it's very important to also allow people in the communities to tell their own stories, and sometimes in their own words. So I've done columns where I'll take a certain community, like I've done Dubuque, for example, and let those residents talk about things that their community needs, things that their community does well, things that they want to celebrate. And so I think it's just very important to, like I said, center those black voices, cover stories that don't get covered, look at the data in a different way. Like when I started out with the pandemic, the reporting always was, here's how many Iowans have, COVID. Here's how many Iowans took the vaccine. It never disaggregated the data by race. And so it was very hard in those early days to understand, how is this pandemic affecting black Iowans? So that is the stance that I really apply to every story. How is this story about SNAP benefits, that the legislature was just, reforming? How does that affect black Iowans? And that's the tack that I take on each story. Also giving a voice to black Iowans who don't always have their voices told. There are a lot of people in the community doing great things, doing innovative things that will never make the front news page of a newspaper. They'll never be standing somewhere getting interviewed by journalists. And so I really take it as my charge to get them coverage and to let other people around the state know what they're doing. Yes, certainly. So I think the dream to have a print edition, it kind of grew from last fall when I did this print piece for the midterms. And that was a big undertaking to not only do the layout, do all of the writing, do all of the reporting, but now to think about, how do I move from what I was doing, which was an email newsletter and a website, to actually putting something in residents' hands. That became so important to me, for people to have something from Black Iowa News in their mailbox. And especially for voting, because voting is one of the kind of tenets of what I'm doing. It's very important to me as a journalist that we have great information around voting and that people really understand what's happening with it. And so when I was working on this piece, I was able to mail it to 8,000 homes, which was, a great accomplishment. And then also, when I was taking this around to the community, people just literally snatched it out of my hands and told me, we really need this. And, that's when it was like, I viewed this almost as a test run. And that's when it became clear that I can produce a newspaper, I can disseminate it around the state to some key communities and help make a difference. And I always say that what I do at Black Iowa News is contributing to an informed community, because it's not like our community is uninformed. It's not like there aren't other publications and websites and creators doing great things, but I want to be a part of that, and I want to be a part of it in terms of making sure that people have it in their communities, making sure children pick it up, because I certainly grew up, my parents made sure I had every, newspaper, magazine, book. My house was just filled with things to read, and that's probably why I became the journalist that I am. But I want to make sure other kids grow up with seeing themselves reflected in these pages. That's so important. Representation is everything, and this is just another way that we get that done. Oh gosh, yeah, so there's been a lot of challenges. I moved away from being able to mail it to people as opposed to taking it to different distribution sites, within the state. So I'm working with a lot of businesses to have them hosted. A lot of businesses have reached out to me saying they want to have it in their business. So now, I'm going to be going to Creston and different other cities that weren't necessarily on my list, but they want it, so I'm going to bring it there. So mailing was a challenge, and I've overcome that by distributing it. But since I started Black Iowa News, I've just had widespread support from people of all hues, and that has been so encouraging. The minute that I said that I was, the minute that I publicized that I was putting out a Black newspaper, I think within 15 minutes I had the first ad. Within a day, I had several ads, and it's just grown from there. People also have, sent me contributions to help with the printing, to help keep it going. And so the need is there, the want is there, and it's very much my mission to deliver. Yes, I'm comfortable with it now because it's been coming. It's the natural evolution of Black Iowa News to move from digital. I know some people are like, you see these papers in these communities dry up, and everyone laments that, and everyone believes that everyone wants to do everything online, on their phone, on their tablets. But Black communities are different. In fact, in this country, the Black media is kind of having a resurgence. There's a resurgence of Black newspapers. So I've been fortunate to have mentors that are Black publishers from around the country. Some of their papers have been in existence 20, 40, 60 years. They're still going strong. They're still doing great things in their community. They are still covering stories that, like Black women missing, for example. They're still covering stories all the time. Not just when there's the latest person missing, but this is their charge. And so their communities are well informed with these, with the issues. And I want to be a part of doing the same thing, of staying on top of the issues that are important to us and making sure that we are all aware of the challenges, the disparities, and that we can do something about it. It's really about bringing people together to not only celebrate our wins, but to say there are some serious troubling things in the state that we still need to work on. And if the legislature's focused on this over here and is not getting to our issues, well, maybe we need to talk about that. Maybe we need to develop a strategy. And I think a newspaper can help do that in a way that a digital media really, it can, but not as well, because the paper's not sitting there, on the kitchen table. It's not being read by several members of the family. People aren't cutting out stories like they used to. So I think that in our community, I think it can definitely work. And from the support that I've received just in announcing it in 2 weeks' time, that gives me good evidence that the time is now to do this. Reader response has been great. Recently, I did a reader survey, and some of the results and the comments I got back literally blew me away, because people are like, we need this. You're helping me understand things that I don't understand that may not impact my life, but it impacts my neighbor's life. So I want to know more about it. And I was just very encouraged by the support in the comments. And everywhere that I went that I've talked about the Black Iowa newspaper, people have said, yes, when is it coming out? People want subscriptions, and I don't even have the subscription rate set yet, to mail it to someone. And so I think just with, I've been doing this work here now for 3 years. It's not like I just came on the scene and decided, hey, I'm bringing a newspaper with no data and no, quantitative data or qualitative data behind it. I have both of those things that say that this is the time. this is now, and this will help our community, and that's what this is all about for me. It will be, that's the week that it should be back from the printer, and so that's the week that my husband and I plan to rent a van and go grab the paper from the printer, which is in northwest Iowa, and begin delivering it all to probably maybe 6 cities or so. And like I said, I have businesses and organizations in those cities that want it, so I'll be dropping it off there. I'll be publicizing the list of where people can get it. And then also, if there are other businesses or organizations that want to carry the paper, send me an email, and I'll be delivering it there as well. Yep, quarterly to start out, but the goal is definitely to grow it to monthly, and then I would love for it to be bi-weekly. 6 months from now, I would love for it to be bi-weekly. Absolutely. So what they can do is they can buy ads, they can subscribe, because, still putting out that email newsletter twice a week. They can visit the website to read stories from there. Of course, on social media, they can do what we all do, like, share, comment. What I've done on Facebook is create really a community, and so I'm in the Facebook page all the time. I'm taking care to make sure that the comments are, appropriate. I don't just let people do what some other news sites do, which is let people attack each other. And a lot of times in the comments on my Facebook page, you will hear people say, this is like our thing, this is our community, and they're very, careful with each other, which I love, especially now with 20,000 followers. I'm near 20,000, so it's really nice that people feel like that's their space, and I love that. So I will still be definitely cultivating the social media side of it. So there's lots of different ways to interact with Black Iowa News. So, some people don't, not us, of course, but some people don't do everything on their phone. And so having the paper for them to read will be important to them. For the other people who are on the go, who are used to doing everything digitally, I'll still be doing that. So it's kind of marrying all of those different ways to connect together. I just want to say that, I have been a journalist for a long time, reported at the Des Moines Register for 7 years, written for lots of different websites and magazines, and but this is the most important work that I've done. This is the work that really defines my whole career. And what I love most about Black Iowa News is that it was born really out of that need to help. It was born out of the need to make sure that the community was informed in a way that I wasn't seeing happen. And so that's what keeps me going. That's what motivates me, is just making sure people are informed, making sure that they see themselves represented, and making sure that we can work on some of these challenges that we have at a state. And so I really just hope people will pick it up and read it and share their comments with me. And then also, send me tips, send me story ideas. That's it, really. This sculpture means a lot to me because, like I said, I started during the pandemic. So where, there were no restaurants, there were no coffee shops to sit in, and social distancing definitely was a thing. It was my thing. And so this was like a very safe space to come work. So I would, drive up here, park. My sister bought me a little, it was a little like a desk that you put over your, steering wheel. And I would sit here and I would write. And everything that I've done with Black Iowa News, it was started here, because either I sat here and just kind of like people watched and thought about what I would do, or I wrote many stories from this location. And pretty much sometime during the week, I come down here and I have my front seat has all my plans. It has other people's papers that I use as inspiration. And so this park, since it was built, I've been coming here. I've been dreaming about different things. And so Black Iowa News really was kind of born here. And now that things have opened back up a little, still this is my spot. This is the place that I park near the sign, and I just let that creativity flow.